You've tried everything, and you're still tired. Not tired from work, tired in your soul. You sleep for hours but wake up heavier. You pray but your mind won't stay still. And deep down a terrifying thought creeps in. What if this isn't just burnout? What if something unseen is pulling you apart from the inside? You've tried everything, and you're still tired. Not tired from work, tired in your soul. You sleep for hours but wake up heavier. You pray but your mind won't stay still. And deep down a terrifying thought creeps in. What if this isn't just burnout? What if something unseen is pulling you apart from the inside? It starts slow. You notice the shift but you don't know what to call it. Your chest feels heavy, your body sluggish. It's like walking through something thick and invisible, as if you're wading through air that wants to hold you back. You try to push through, but you're not acting like yourself anymore. You snap at your parents for no reason. You're cold with your spouse, distant with your friends. You ignore messages from people who've done nothing wrong. Your mood turns dark, fast. And the scariest part? You don't even know why. It's like your mind is on edge all the time. Searching, blaming, escaping. You've been praying. You've been making dua. But deep down, a silent alarm is going off. This exhaustion doesn't feel natural. The breakdowns always hit at the worst moments, right when things are finally coming together. A job interview, a family gathering, a moment of peace. Suddenly, chaos. And when people ask what's wrong, you can't explain it. You try to sound normal, but your voice is flat. You try to focus in prayer, but your brain races like it's fleeing something. You try to enjoy what's good, but it slips away before you can even hold it. And that's when a darker question lands. What if this isn't just hardship? What if this is witchcraft? Warning sign number 1. It doesn't feel like depression. It feels like invasion. You felt low before. You know what grief feels like. Burnout. Real depression. They have a shape, a rhythm, a beginning and an end. But this came out of nowhere. No trauma. No major event. Just heaviness. Disconnection. Like something crawled inside your soul and dimmed the light without asking. You try to label it. Maybe it's just stress. Maybe I need more sleep. Maybe it's my hormones or my diet or my routine. So you try, you really try. You wake up early. You go to the gym. You read more Quran. You cut screen time. You write lists, make plans, light incense. But the weight doesn't move. Not the one on your chest. Not the one buried in your heart. It feels like something has invaded you. And yet there's no enemy in sight. And when you finally gather the courage to talk about it, if you even do, people tell you you're being negative. They tell you to just have sabr. Just think good of Allah. As if you're not already trying. But deep down, you know this isn't normal. You know the difference between sadness and sabotage. Because when you're being tested by Allah, your heart feels challenged but still connected. But when you're being attacked by something spiritual, it pushes you away. Away from Allah. Away from your loved ones. Away from your own self. You try to focus in salah, and your brain starts screaming nonsense. You open the Quran, and your eyes glaze over after 2 ayahs. You sit to make dua, and your tongue goes dry. You don't feel like yourself anymore. Not mentally. Not emotionally. Not spiritually. And here's what they don't tell you. When Allah is testing you, He pulls you closer to Him. But when Sihr is attacking you, it pushes you away. That's how it works. Because Sihr doesn't come with loud alarms. It comes with slow decay. A mind that can't focus. A heart that starts going numb. A soul that begins to malfunction. And you keep trying to fix it, but you're treating the wrong wound. Because this isn't just psychological. It's spiritual warfare. And it's happening inside you. And the longer you pretend it's not real, the deeper it nests. Sign number 2, your mind becomes your enemy. It doesn't start with a scream. It starts with a whisper. You're in your car, on your bed, halfway through wudu, and suddenly, a thought crashes in, loud, ugly, violent. So out of character it makes you flinch. Why did I just think that? What's wrong with me? And the scarier part? It doesn't stop there. Your thoughts start spinning. You replay conversations from years ago. Old arguments, old wounds. You start analyzing every word someone said, even when it didn't matter. You assume the worst about the people who love you most. You feel judged when no one is watching. You feel hated when no one is speaking. And worst of all, you don't even realize when it began. It just becomes your new default. Anger, suspicion, tension. It's a kind of mental sabotage that doesn't just disturb your peace. It rewrites your personality. And that's when it starts getting terrifying. Because now you're not just tired. You're afraid of your own thoughts. You remember who you were. You used to be calm. You used to forgive quickly. You used to think clearly, love freely, trust easily. But now, your mind feels hijacked. It drags you into arguments you don't want. It pushes you into isolation. It plants seeds of resentment and waters them. It convinces you. They're against you. You're a burden. You're too much, too broken, too far gone. And at some point, you stop fighting the thoughts. You start believing them. Maybe you are the problem. Maybe Allah is angry with you. Maybe you're not meant to have peace at all. That's how Sihr deceives you. It doesn't just whisper lies. It speaks in your own voice, until you can't tell the difference anymore. Was that me, or was that something else? And if you think that sounds extreme, even the Prophet told us, Shaitan flows through the human being like blood. Now imagine, not just Shaitan feeding on your vulnerability, but someone intentionally sending something into your life. A curse, a spell, a binding, a dark intent latched onto your soul, and pulling it out of alignment, slowly, daily, invisibly. And the longer you ignore it, the more it grows. You start doubting everyone. You sabotage your own relationships. You hear the Quran and feel annoyed. Someone gives you sincere advice, and you instantly feel attacked. And one day, mid-thought, you catch yourself thinking something vile, something hateful about someone you love, your mother, your spouse, your own self, and the thought doesn't feel like yours. Feels implanted. And that's when the question hits like thunder. What if this isn't even me anymore? Warning sign number 3. Your sleep becomes a battleground. You lie down hoping morning will bring peace. But night brings war. You sleep for 8 hours and wake up more tired than before. You don't dream of light. You dream of shadows, twisted faces, distorted voices, arguments replaying in strange, warped places, people watching you from the dark. Sometimes it's not even dreams. Sometimes it's paralysis. You feel something pressing down on your chest, pinning you. You try to move, but your body won't listen. You try to scream, but your mouth is sealed. Your heart races like it's trying to escape your own ribs. But in the morning, you don't tell anyone. You just say, I didn't sleep well. But it's not poor sleep hygiene. It's spiritual exhaustion. It's your soul, fighting something that doesn't have a name yet. And after a while, you start to fear your own bed. Because even sleep, your last place of escape, isn't safe anymore. You play Ruqya audio at night, and your body reacts. Your limbs twitch. Your chest tightens. Your skin feels hot and restless. You recite Ayat al-Kursi. But your mind races faster, as if something inside doesn't want to hear it. And here's something we forget. The Prophet said, some dreams are from Allah, others from Shaitan. But when Sihr is involved, dreams can be weapons. They're not random. They're attacks. Targeted. Repeated. Unseen. You don't need a magician at your door. He already left something behind, at the threshold of your mind. And now, it's using your sleep to weaken you, before the day even starts. By now, the signs are piling up. You wake up angry for no reason. You feel like crying before you've brushed your teeth. You get out of bed and already feel like you've lost a war. You didn't know you were fighting. And slowly, night becomes the enemy. Because the one place you thought you'd finally feel peace, your room, your pillow, your own body, has now become the battleground. Sign number 4. The same pattern keeps repeating, in everything. Sometimes, it hits you all at once. In a quiet moment of reflection, you look back at your life, and realize it's not just been hard. It's been the same kind of hard over and over. Different face, same betrayal, different job, same rejection, different opportunity, same collapse. And the worst part? You could almost feel it coming. Like déjà vu, but darker. You sense the silence before the phone call that never came. The shift in someone's tone before they pulled away. That strange pause in your gut whispering, this is too good to last. And then just like before, it doesn't. You try to stay positive. People tell you it's bad luck. They say maybe you're just self-sabotaging. They say maybe you're attracting these patterns. But here's the truth. You've changed. You've worked on your mindset. You've become more grateful. You've prayed more, repented more, surrendered more. You've tried to align yourself with Allah's path. You've done the inner work. And still, the outcome loops like a cursed rerun. Delays, confusion, sudden losses, opportunities slipping right when they're finally in reach. That's when the thought strikes deep. This can't just be coincidence. Because Sihr doesn't always show up like a movie. It's not always screaming, fainting, or reacting to Ruqya. Sometimes, it hides in repetition. That's where it thrives best. In the silent, creeping pattern that never breaks. In the way your cotter always seems blocked, just before something good finally arrives. And the prophet knew this. He didn't dismiss Sihr as superstition. He named it one of the Mubicat, the destroyers. Because Sihr isn't just dark rituals or cursed objects. It can manifest as a spiritual delay. A quiet, calculated detour from your divine path. A subtle sabotage that splits what Allah is bringing together. That freezes your risk. That clouds your heart with relentless waswas. That makes even your duas feel like they're being swallowed by the sky. And sometimes, it's not even about what happens. It's about what never does. The proposal that never arrives. The job that almost opens, and suddenly closes. The healing that begins, and then disappears again like a mirage. So you begin to wonder, how many times can life fall apart in the exact same way? Before I admit something unnatural is happening? And then another voice whispers, maybe it's not your fault. Maybe someone saw your light coming, and tried to block it before it arrived. Warning sign number 5, the people closest to you start turning cold. At first you think you're imagining it. The shift is too quiet to notice. Your spouse isn't as warm anymore. Your friend replies but with less emotion. Your sibling, the one you used to laugh with like clockwork, starts looking at you like you're a stranger. No fights. No betrayal. Just distance. A slow, chilling silence. Until one day it hits you like a wall. We're not okay anymore. And the most confusing part? You didn't do anything. You scroll through old messages. Replay the last conversation in your head. You dissect every word, every emoji, every tone, looking for what went wrong. But there's nothing there. No reason for the energy shift. No cause for the disconnect. And that's when the realization creeps in. This isn't just miscommunication. This feels engineered. This feels like sabotage. A tearing apart of connections that once felt unbreakable. And that's exactly what certain types of Sihr are designed to do. The Prophet warned us about it. Sihr al-Tafriq, the spell that splits people apart. In an authentic hadith, Ibn Abbas said the Messenger of Allah warned, some spells are made to cause separation between a man and his wife. And it doesn't stop at marriage. It shows up between siblings, friends, parents and children. Suddenly, things that were never an issue become full-blown arguments. Your home becomes tense. Your heart becomes guarded. And your soul, once surrounded by love, starts to feel completely alone. You start to wonder, maybe I really am the problem. Even when deep down, you know something else is moving the pieces. That's the cruelty of Sihr. It doesn't just block your blessings. It cuts the ropes to the people who might have pulled you out. Because sometimes the spell isn't meant to ruin your life, just to isolate you enough that you start to believe it already is. And unless it's caught, unless it's confronted, it keeps growing. You stop trusting. You stop asking for help. You stop talking altogether. And one day you wake up, spiritually injured, emotionally numb and completely alone. But let this be your reminder. You are not crazy. You are not imagining this. This kind of silence, this kind of withdrawal, it often has a source. And maybe it's not that you've changed, but that something has been sent to change how the world sees you. But not every pain in your life is just a trial to be endured. Some pains are planted, watered by envy, fed by the silent tongues of those who smile to your face and curse you in secret. Because Sihr is not always loud. It doesn't always look like horror movies or shadows on the wall. Sometimes, it's the slow fade of your joy, the constant failure of your efforts, the sudden shift in your relationships, without reason, without warning. One day you're connected, grounded, focused in prayer, at peace with Allah. And then, you're not. You forget what peace even felt like. You question your intentions. You lose trust in yourself. You start believing the worst things people say about you. That's how Sihr works. It whispers not in your ears, but in your decisions. It doesn't break you with force. It bends you quietly until you're too confused to even stand. And here's what most people miss. It doesn't always enter your life through enemies. Sometimes, it enters through love. A desperate, obsessive love that refuses to let go. A heartbreak that never healed, so someone reached for control instead of closure. They visit a magician. Or write your name with dark ink. Not out of hatred but out of possession. They want you to return. But not by choice, by force. This is why the Prophet warned us so severely. Because Sihr is not a game. It's not superstition. It's a deal with Shaitan. And in return you suffer. Your body becomes a battlefield. Your heart, a prisoner. And every good thing in your life begins to rot from the inside out. But here's the part they don't tell you. Even Sihr breaks when Allah commands. Even the strongest black magic cannot stand against the light of Quran, the power of Dhikr, and the sincerity of a heart that turns back to its Rabb. Because you were never meant to carry this forever. You were never meant to stay broken. And maybe, just maybe, Allah allowed it to touch you, so He could be the one to remove it. So you could witness His healing with your own eyes. So your faith could become unshakable, not just in theory but in battle. You try to explain it to your family, your friends. You say, something's wrong. I don't feel like myself. But they look at you like you're just overthinking. Tired. Emotional. Maybe you just need sleep. Just be strong. Do more Dhikr. They mean well. But they don't see the war under your skin. Because this pain doesn't show up on X-rays. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't bruise. But it shatters you from the inside. You start to doubt yourself. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe this is just me. And that's what Sihr wants, silence. It isolates you in your own mind, until your tongue forgets how to ask for help. But here's the truth no one tells you. When something is not just emotional, not just mental, but spiritual, you can't heal it with worldly solutions alone. You need the unseen protection of the one who controls the unseen. You need Allah. Not just in your words, but in your schedule. Not just on your lips, but in your lifestyle. Because Sihr doesn't survive in places where Quran is recited often. It suffocates where istighfar fills the air. It weakens in homes where salah is guarded like treasure. But you have to fight back. And fighting back doesn't mean shouting at the jinn. It doesn't mean panicking or spiraling. It means turning your life into a fortress of light. A place where shaitan is unwelcome. A heart where magic cannot live. Because there's no room left, only Allah. Start with the basics. Prayer beads morning and evening adhkar, even when you don't feel it. Locked ayat al-Kursi before sleep, even if your body feels heavy. Open book Surah al-Baqarah in your home, even if you just play it. Droplet ruqya water, over your head, your body, your chest. Crescent moon and tahajjud, even if you cry through every rak'ah not knowing what to say. Because Allah sees your trembling hands. He hears the verses you whisper through cracked lips. He knows the nights you couldn't speak, but your tears wrote the whole du'a. And He responds. Not always in a flash. Not always with lightning. Sometimes, with a slow return of peace. The weight starts to lift. Your heart begins to feel again. The fog clears little by little. Not because you were strong, but because you turned back to the strongest. You ask the question that haunts every sleepless night. If Allah loves me, why would He let this happen to me? Why the pain? Why the confusion? Why the whispers, the fear, the isolation? But maybe, the question isn't why. Maybe it's what now. Because Allah never allows harm without purpose. Not a single test touches you except by His wisdom. And sometimes, the very thing that was meant to destroy you, becomes the thing that wakes you up. You were distant. You were slipping. You were chasing something, or someone, that was dragging your soul down. And Sihr came like a violent storm, but also like a divine alarm. It shook your world so hard that you finally stopped, and turned around. Because the greatest tragedy isn't being afflicted, is being unaware. Unaware of Allah. Unaware of your own heart. Unaware that your soul was bleeding while your life looked fine. This test forced you to pause. To fall. To crawl back to sujud when you had no strength left. And sometimes, that's where you find what was missing all along. It's not about punishment. It's about purification. Allah purifies through pain. He breaks illusions you were clinging to. He pulls you away from harmful relationships. He removes friends who couldn't carry your soul. He even empties your life, just to fill it with Him. And that hurts. But hidden in that hurt is healing. The kind of healing that doesn't just patch the surface. It rewires your soul. Because Sihr might shake your body, but it cannot shake your qadr. It might silence your tongue, but it can't cancel your du'a. It might confuse your thoughts, but it can't overpower Allah's mercy. And here's what no magician, no spell, no evil eye can ever change. What Allah has written for you will reach you. In perfect time. In perfect peace. This pain is not forever. It's a process. A journey. And you're not walking alone. Even when you feel numb. Even when your prayers feel empty. Even when your hands tremble holding the Quran. Allah sees. And He responds. Through signs. Through people. Through the sudden calm that makes no sense, except that it's from Him. So let this test transform you. Let it be the beginning of your strongest faith. Healing doesn't always look like what you imagined. It's not always loud. It's not a dramatic moment where everything is suddenly okay. Sometimes, healing is silent, subtle, almost invisible. You still feel tired. You still feel scared. You still wake up with your heart pounding for no reason. But one day, you recite Ayat al-Kursi, and your chest doesn't tighten. You don't cry. You just breathe. That's healing. One day you walk past the mirror and you don't avoid your reflection. You look yourself in the eye, and you whisper, "I'm still here." That's healing. You reply to a message. You go outside. You sit in the sun for 5 minutes longer than usual, and instead of running back into the shadows, you stay. That's healing too. Don't measure your recovery by the absence of pain. Measure it by your return to purpose. Are you remembering Allah more? Even if it's just once a day? Even if it's just a tired Ya Rab before bed? That's not failure. That's faith. And maybe the greatest sign of healing is that you're listening to this right now. Still seeking. Still hoping. Still holding on even if it's by a thread. Because Sihr wants to isolate you. Shaitan wants you to think no one understands. But Allah? He wants you to know, I am near. And you're never more beloved to Him than when you're broken but turning back anyway. There's beauty in that. There's light in that. Even if you don't feel it yet. And one day, you'll look back on this version of you. Shaky, scared, surviving. And you'll whisper to your old self, you were stronger than you knew. You made it. You didn't give up. So don't rush your healing. Don't compare your journey to someone else's. Allah knows the exact weight you carry. And He is Al-Latif, the most gentle. Healing will come. Not always fast, but always fully. And in ways you never expected. When you've lived in the storm for so long, peace can feel unfamiliar. Safety can feel like a lie. You brace yourself for the next wave. Because pain taught you to expect it. But Allah didn't just bring you through this to survive. He brought you through it to transform you, to rebuild you, with a heart that knows Him more deeply than the one you had before the pain. Sihr may have targeted your peace, but Allah is restoring it with knowledge, with clarity, with tawakkul, deep, unwavering trust. And that's the secret most people don't talk about. Spiritual warfare leaves scars, but it also leaves signs of strength. You become more sensitive to energy. You can feel when something isn't clean, when a room isn't right. That's not paranoia. That's discernment. A gift. You begin to recognize the whispers of Shaitan more easily. You no longer confuse anxiety with istikra. You start to feel the pull between your soul and your nafs. And you learn how to choose the soul. You learn that not every intense connection is from Allah. Some are traps. Some are distractions dressed in desire. And slowly, you stop chasing feelings and start chasing signs. Divine signs. The ones that feel like peace, not pressure. This is the shift. From why me? To Ya Allah guide me. From I can't take this anymore. To I know you're with me in this. And the moment that happens, the moment your heart says, I still trust you even after everything, is the moment you step out of survival mode and into sacred transformation. You stop fearing the darkness because you've learned to carry your own light. You're no longer desperate for rescue because you've discovered that Allah planted every tool you need inside you. Maybe you were never meant to just be healed. Maybe you were meant to be awakened. And the one who was once afflicted, afraid, and ashamed, is now the one leading others out of their own spiritual prisons. Because Allah doesn't waste your suffering. He multiplies its reward. He extracts wisdom. And He rewrites your story with a strength that could only come from walking through the fire and still bowing in sujud. Somewhere along the way, you thought the darkness was your new home, that maybe Allah had left you, that your du'as had expired, that your healing was taking too long, so maybe it wasn't coming at all. But look at you now, still standing, still breathing, still holding on to hope, even if by a thread. That alone is proof of Allah's mercy. Because if He truly wanted you gone, if He had truly turned away, you wouldn't even care to return. You wouldn't be searching for Him in videos like this. You wouldn't feel that lump in your throat right now, the one you're quietly swallowing, because you're trying not to cry again. That ache you feel? That guilt? That craving for closeness? It's not distance from Allah. It's the evidence that your heart is still connected, that He's still calling you back, that your name is still known in the heavens, even if people forgot it here, even if your affliction isolated you, even if they called you crazy, even if the world dismissed your pain as imagination. Allah didn't. He knew what they couldn't see. He heard what you couldn't even say. He defended you in unseen realms, when you had no one left to defend you here. And now you're not just healing. You're remembering who you've always been. the one chosen by trials, not cursed by them, the one whose pain unlocked purpose, whose tears counted as prayers, whose silence held the loudest dagger, and whose breakdown became the doorway to a better version of themselves. So here's the truth. You were never too broken. You were never too far gone. You were never abandoned. You were being rewritten. And every moment you thought was the end was just Allah turning the page, because the story was always about mercy. It always led back to Him. So hold on. You're not weak for needing time. You're not faithless for needing healing. You're not alone in what you've been through. And most importantly, you are not what happened to you. You are what you chose to become after it. And what you chose was to return, to hope, to light, to Allah. That is a victory the jinn could never steal. A miracle the world can't always see. But the angels, they saw it. And they recorded every moment.